Family and friends, we will be beginning soon. I would just like everyone to turn their phones to silent or turn them off, please.
Thank you for your patience. I'd like to say morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today as we've gathered to honour and give thanks and to pay tribute to the amazing life of Audrey Jean McDonald. Today is a time to express our love for her, to reflect on her life, to offer comfort and support to her family and friends who feel her loss very deeply. Audrey is the much loved and cherished wife of Ron, gentle and loving mother of Gavin, Warren and Phillip, much loved mother-in-law of Leanne and Kirsten, a loving grandmother of Jake and Mikala, Zoe and Jay, and the king, Elvis. It's a great name for a grandson, isn't it? Greatly loved by her extended family and friends. Each of us have come here and carries our own memories of Audrey, moments of kindness and warmth, humour and care. Today, we do not only say goodbye, but also express our gratitude for having shared our life with Audrey. Audrey was a woman of strength and steady presence, She was an extremely hard worker, friendly, yet always deeply felt by those who knew her most. Her greatest love was her family. She found her joy in caring for you, supporting you, and simply being there in her strong, loving ways that meant so much. Audrey found happiness in the simple things in life. She loved her home and the sense of purpose that life brought her. She loved dancing, cooking, showing kindness to animals, and having patience and care. She'd have to with Ron, wouldn't she? Sorry, Ron. She enjoyed looking the part, dressing beautifully, always with that familiar smile, with a great sense of humour, and laughter was never far away when Audrey was near. We're going to share some of the good and happy moments of Audrey's life, and I'd like to say thank you to Ron for putting this amazing eulogy together. Audrey was born at Bellingen on the 25th of March, 1945, and is the third of 9 children born to Patrick and Sheila Hennessy of Hennessy's Lane, Thora. They didn't have a TV, did they, Ron? Back then with 9 children. Pat was a well-known and respected owner of a timber jinker, carting logs to local sawmills. Sober, you couldn't get boo out of him. And with a few beers, you couldn't shut him up. It was common for him to be standing at the bar and breaking out singing a country and western song or a yodel. Nobody seemed to take any notice, and that was the standard for rural Bellingen in the early 60s, before the hippies arrived. At the time of her schooling in Bellingen, the school bus company had determined that the family did not qualify for subsidised free bus travel, as their residence was not the required 2 miles from the school. The family could not afford the bus fares, thus Audrey and her siblings walked the 2 miles to and from school in the freezing cold and the stinking heat. Audrey said in the summertime they would run from one shade tree to the next on their way home for respite. At the time of leaving school, her auntie and uncle, Alice and Eric Ulrich, were the owners of the successful Sunshine Cafe on the Pacific Highway, Coffs Harbour, adjacent to the Coffs Harbour Hotel. Alice offered to train Audrey as a waitress and brought her to live with them in the residence at the rear of the cafe. Alice was in the mould of Audrey's mother, a strict disciplinarian, no nonsense, old school. From living in the boondocks, so to speak, Audrey was timid and shy. She refused to deal with the public and remained in the kitchen, and this didn't suit Alice, who wanted a waitress, not a kitchen hand. Eventually, Eric was in the throes of sending Audrey home when she finally worked up the courage and commenced her training. She not only learned how to waitress, but also how to work diligently and hard. Alice became her mentor of both life and work skills. Her rigid teaching set the boundaries for her life, and she never strayed from those disciplines she learned. Very quickly, never to return to the kitchen empty-handed. Throughout her life, whenever out dining, the waitresses were always being marked, with few gaining a pass. Audrey often reminisced of those happy times and would recall that in the early 60s, there was no coffee culture. The rural residents came to town on Saturday mornings with their wives and their families, and the standard fare was a pot of tea with a fresh-made ham sandwiches for the princely sum of 2 shillings and a 6pence. Sausages and veggies, 5.6, and a T-bone steak and veggies, 6.6. Those were the days, weren't they? Jeez. These prices also included 2 slices of bread and butter and a pot of tea with the meal. While working in the cafe, Audrey and Ron started dating. Ron had to pass the strict scrutiny and inquiry from Alice before she was allowed to go out. At the time, some of Alice's family said to her, "Don't worry about her, Mum, she's a big girl now." Alice's reply was, "That's exactly what I'm worried about." Eventually, Alice consented. Conditional, she could go to the pictures, now the movies, provided she was brought straight home. There was to be no nonsense. Further, she knew that what time the pictures ended and was always inside the cafe awaiting her return home. Her mother consented to the marriage. Conditional, the wedding was held in the morning. An afternoon wedding was out of the question, on the grounds that all the men would be pissed. After marriage, Audrey continued waitressing as well as assisting Ron, who at the time was a share farmer in a banana plantation. She soon became adept at banana work and was able to drive the old Land Rover up and down the steep mountain without difficulty. After 5 years of this lifestyle and 2 children and another one on the way, they moved to Sydney for 12 months, thence to Lismore. Whilst in Lismore, Audrey was offered casual work with a government department, escorting wayward girls who had been detained in Lismore and had to travel to Sydney for confinement. The young girls were understandably frightened and scared out of their minds, having never been on an aeroplane, and looked to Audrey for support. She was kind to the girls and provided them with comfort, and they warmed to her. The irony of all that was that Audrey had never been on a plane either, and was just as nervous, if not more so, as the girls was able to disguise this. She was able to disguise this, and those escorts were uneventful. She also resumed waitressing as the family bought a home in South Lismore with a spare block. Audrey had an innate affinity with animals. Consequently, pets were always a feature of Audrey's life. She'd been given a young white cockatoo as a pet whilst in Lismore. She determined it was a male and she named it Buster. About 10 years later, Buster laid an egg. Thereupon, Audrey lost her licence to determine the sex of birds. An early gent owned 2 ponies which grazed on the spare block. Audrey cared for the ponies like family and developed a very special relationship with them. When the owner passed away, he left the black pony to Audrey and the white one to his widow, who gave it to Audrey. Subsequently, whenever the family moved thereafter, so did the ponies and their offspring. And in 1980, the family moved to Kingscliff and purchased a home off what appeared to be a well-to-do lady named Edna. She was the owner of a purebred corgi named Penny. The negotiation for the sale of the house included Audrey keeping and caring for Penny, and Edna would send a cheque every month to defray the cost of the dog food. This cheque arrived religiously every month and became known as the PAL cheque, P-A-L cheque, which was overly generous. Not only did it buy the food for the dog, it heavily supplemented the McDonald family grocery bill. The family moved back to Coffs Harbour. About 2 years later, the kids left the front gate open and Penny got skittled by a car. Audrey said, "I'll have to ring Edna and tell her Ron." Ron said, don't tell her." Audrey said, "Why?" Ron said, "Because we'll lose our PAL cheque." What was the first thing that Audrey did when she walked inside? She rang Edna. From that day on, the McDonald family grocery bill skyrocketed. Later, the family moved again to Gordon's Road here in Coffs Harbour. There, Audrey had another pet called Boxer. It was a pet boxer dog named Susie. She came home from town one day to find Susie staggering all over the lawn. Losing her balance and falling over, alarmed, she went to the front gate and to the front of the house where Warren and his mate Pigsy were on the drink. She soon discovered Pigsy had been sharing his schooners with Susie, and she was as drunk as a skunk. Audrey was unimpressed and gave Pigsy a stern talking to. However, the next day, Susie was as fit as a fiddle and showed no ill effects of any sign of a hangover. Pigsy was forgiven and all lived happily ever after, or so to speak. In the 90s, the line dancing phenomenon came to Audrey and her sister Joy, both lifelong country music adherents, took to line dancing like ducks to water. For over the next 14 years, Audrey became heavily involved in socialising, competing and running her own socials, religiously travelling to Tamworth for every country music festival with the girls. It was probably the happiest times of Audrey's life. Away from the constraints of family, work and other commitments, she immersed herself in the freedom of dancing to country music with like-minded people. Eventually, line dancing succumbed to generational change, and Audrey lost her amour during the height of line dancing. Audrey drove the girls to and from Tamworth and all parts around. One night, when about to leave home for dancing, she had occasion to look at her licence. She'd been driving all over the countryside for 2 years on an expired licence. She was horrified and wouldn't leave the house. The officer at the motor registry remarked, "It's out of date, all right." He did renew it, however, with a silver licence in place of a gold. She then took up social ballroom sequence dancing with Ron. Her ability to move to the beat of music and keep perfect time enabled her to be quickly competent, travelling extensively to different locations. One year she was judged the best dressed at the Tamworth Annual Country Music Festival ball, held in the Tamworth Town Hall. She always looked beautiful, didn't she? Cooking and gardening were also lifelong pursuits. Her home-cooked biscuits, cakes and desserts were not only wonderful, but healthy as well. Every year, Audrey would make half a dozen or more large Christmas fruitcakes with a good dash of port wine for the family. She would fastidiously gift wrap them with love and care. They were eagerly received and appreciated. Wherever she lived, she would have a flower garden, which she tended with love and care. Hence, they were always a feature wherever she lived, and as with animals and birds, epitomised who she was. To the end, she fed magpies, kookaburras, butcher birds, and a special woolly wagtail, as well as blue jays and parrots. They gravitated to her daily, and she derived so much enjoyment from her connection with nature. She also continued to tend her garden as best she could, which provided satisfaction and comfort. Selfless consideration for others, hard work, discipline, dedication, and commitment were inherent traits. When working the bananas, she would drive to town in the old Land Cruiser ute, pick up shooks and come home and make banana cases. She would pack bananas all day, move the heavy cases around, thrash all day and mow lawns. Nothing was a problem for her. In retirement, hydroponic tunnels were erected and tomatoes and Lebanese cucumbers were grown. Audrey was proficient at every aspect of this labour-intensive endeavour. She would babysit at the time as well. As her housework and cooking continued, many times fitting in line dancing as well, and a class too. Only returned to continue work. Eventually, she'd had enough packing tomatoes and cucumbers and called it quits. And that's when the whole show folded like a pack of cards and the hothouses were sold. Ron had lost his best worker. Audrey was a devoted and loyal to the core wife, mother and grandmother. She treated all fairly. However, if she perceived that you were not genuine and sincere, you didn't make the cut. Quiet and elegant. Ron lost track of how many times women would walk up to her, place their hand on her arm and tell her how beautiful she was. Presentation and grooming were inherent in her personality. Despite compliments, she was uncomfortable with the attention to herself. She exemplified and affirmed deeds speak far more louder than words. On November 2023 was her 60th wedding anniversary. She was very proud. When first married, everyone said it wouldn't last. Ron was 20 and Audrey was only 18. She worked hard at the marriage to ensure she made it a success of it and has been rewarded with a beautiful family. The love has been requited in spades. She celebrated the anniversary with family at Boambi Beach Reserve, which was a special occasion for her. Throughout the marriage, Ron would call Audrey perfect, and she would call him hopeless. She made special mention of her comfort of having been wholeheartedly embraced by the McDonald clan. From day one and throughout life, fully accepted into a tight-knit family, seamlessly, with never a hiccup in 63 years. During the marriage, Audrey lived in 13 different homes, mostly work-related, but some due to Audrey's restlessness. Ron told her she must have gypsy in her, and that he was sure a gypsy had got through a barbed wire fence and got to her mother. She said he was hopeless. At 78 years of age, her diagnosis of advanced ovarian cancer came out of left field. The urgency shown by medicos from the outset to the tone for her, or set the tone for her roller coaster ride and yo-yo ride. For over 2 years, the journey was arduous. Hopes and beliefs were raised and often to be dashed. In the wash up, the chemotherapy, a 4-hour operation in Newcastle, more chemo and ancillary treatments, including losing her hair. She lost the initial significance to the main event, which was her survival. Audrey gave it her all, and she had remaining determined, stoic, and uncomplaining, showing grace and remaining the dignified lady that she was to the end. However, they say there is an upside to death, and that is you don't have to practice it. The first time works well enough. And we dedicate this epitaph to Audrey. Remorseless death amongst us comes, and bitter grief imparts. It has taken Audrey from our presence, but never from our hearts. Thank you, Ron. Put that together. I'd like to ask you now to turn your attention. We've got some amazing photos and some beautiful music that Audrey has chosen to put together.
The sweet, sweet memories you gave of me, you can't beat the memories you gave of me.
Take
Sweet, sweet
one fresh and tender kiss,
the memories you gave of me.
at one stolen night of bliss.
Can't beat the memories you gave of me.
One girl, one boy, some grief, some joy, memories are made of this.
The memories you gave of me.
Don't forget a small moonbeam.
Can't beat the memories you gave of me.
Fold in lightly with a dream.
The memories you gave of me.
Your lips and mine, two sips of wine. Memories are made of this.
Can't beat the memories you gave of me.
Then at the wedding bells, one house where lovers dwell. 3 little kids for the flavor. Stir carefully through the flavor stays. These are the dreams you will savor with his blessings from above.
You can't beat the memories you gave me.
Serve it generously with love.
You can't beat the memories you gave me.
One man, one wife, one love, through life, memories are made of this.
Can't beat the memories you gave me.
Memories are made of this.
We may throw into a lifetime all we ever tried to do, never fully realizing we're none the wiser when we're through. We may think we'll live forever. While we're young we cut it rough. Too late, too soon, it's over. One lifetime's not enough. Life was pretty free and easy. Youth was always on our side. In the rough life of a bushman, we took it in our stride. We had time and we had freedom. We were young, we lived it rough. No one thought or gave a mention. No one lifetime's not enough. Through our lives see many changes, and many times we'd fall, always looking for an answer, just to never know it all. In the twilight of our lifetime, we find the going rough, echoing down through the memories. One lifetime's not enough. Giving all and taking chances, watching fortunes rise and fall, and firmly still believing we could rise above it all. What we'd give to live it over, those wasted years let slip away. With our song and life near over, there's just the piper left to pay. And we spend a lifetime learning what we should have known before, wasting years and often yearning in our need to gather more, till in the twilight of our lifetime we find the going rough, echoing down through the memories. One lifetime's not enough, echoing down through the memories. One lifetime's not enough.
Someday I'm gonna the story of my life. I'll tell about the night we met and how my heart can't forget the way you smiled at me. I want the world to know the story of my life. The moment when your lips met mine, and that first exciting time I held you close to me. The sorrow when our love was breaking up, the memory of a broken heart. Then later on the joy of making up, never, never more to part. There's one thing left to do before my story's through. I've got to take you for my wife, so the story of my life can start and end with you. The sorrow when our love was breaking up, the memory of a broken heart. Then later on the joy of making up, never, never more to part. There's one thing left to do before my story's through. I've got to take you for my wife, so the story of my life can start and end, can start and end, can start and end with you.
Aren't they amazing photos? She looks good in a cowboy hat too, doesn't she? I'd like to share with you now, ever the wife. Audrey has the last say in her own words, and this is Audrey's story of her life. This is just a short story of my life at the time I was born in 1945. We were living at Briarfield, out the back of Bellingen. Mum told me the night I was born, the old car broke down at the rubbish dump, which is just above the Bellingen Hospital. They managed to push the car far enough so it rolled down the hill to the hospital. She told me I was very lucky not to have been born in the rubbish tip. A few years later, we moved to a little house on the water at Raleigh. It was a great time, as there was only the four of us kids, and we played with blue soldier crabs and anything else we found in the mangroves while Mum fished. And in 1950, the big flood came and arrived, and my memory of that was being put in an old rowing boat, and in the pitch of darkness and pouring rain, we were rowed up the river to a high-set farmhouse. It wasn't long before the water started to rise in the house, and us kids were sat on the kitchen table while everyone else rushed around trying to say what they could. As the water rose, the old lady's jerry pot came floating around the corner and bobbed around the table all night. At least that took our minds off the danger that we were in. We couldn't go back to Raleigh, so Grandfather subdivided a small half-acre block off the family farm at Thora Road and gave it to Mum and Dad. And between them, they built our forever home. We moved in when it was only 3 rooms and a veranda, no floor coverings or linings on the walls or ceiling, no power, only a wood stove and a kerosene fridge. Dad built a long stool so 4 kids could sit on it for meals at mealtime. I still have that stool today. It wasn't long before another 4 kids arrived and 2 more rooms were added. Still no power or linings. Water was also scarce as we only had a single 1,000-gallon tank. Bath time was Sunday nights with about 6 inches of water in the tub. It was always started with the eldest first to the youngest last. Too bad if someone had peed in the bath before you. It was just get on with it. On hot summer days, Mum would bundle us kids and a cake of soap in the car and take us to the river to the Gordonville crossing. We often brought 2 5-gallon drums of water home to keep the garden alive. On washing day, the copper was lit and often the clothes boiled for a while. Mum would wash in one tub and us older girls would rinse in a tub of blue water. On ironing days, the clothes were sprinkled with water and rolled up to dampen them down. A blanket and a sheet was placed over the end of the kitchen table, and the flat irons were on the stove to heat up. When they were hot enough, a handle was clamped on and then rubbed on a block of beeswax, and then on an old rag to clean it before using it. That is how us girls learnt how to iron. Can you imagine it? We also learnt to knit sitting in front of the wood stove with the oven door open to keep us warm. When it was time for bed, Mum would have a glass of stout and we would have a cup of cocoa. Everything was homemade, from jams, pickles, cakes and biscuits, as well as most of our clothes. Mum was always strict with us, and we felt the sting of a peach tree stick many times around our legs. In 1969, our father died in an accident in the bush, bringing a load of logs into the mill. He was only 56 at the time, and Mum was left a widow with 5 kids still at home. When she got the widow's pension and a small workers' comp payout, she was able to get the power connected, and then she brought an electric iron, a fridge, a twin tub washing machine, and a TV, and life suddenly became a lot easier when only you had to flick a switch. To my 2 remaining sisters and brother, I hope you remember me fondly as a good sister. To the McDonald family, I am forever grateful for the way I have been accepted into such a happy and caring family. I've always been made to feel more like a sister than a sister-in-law. To Ronald Ulrich, my cousin, it has been a great comfort to me for all the chats and laughs we've had during our life. I hope I've been of some comfort to you as well during your hard times as well. To my 3 sons, your father and I are proud of the men that you've become and grown to be, and the girls that you have married between you. You have given us 5 grandkids who've all been brought up to be good workers with very good manners and respect, and that is a credit to your parenting. To my husband, Ron has always been a gentleman, although sometimes a mischievous one that likes to pull your leg and tell jokes. He's been my best friend for over 60 years and a devoted and caring husband and father. He has put so much into caring for me for over 2 years that words on paper cannot never express the gratitude I feel. When the day came that we had to sit down and face reality of my diagnosis, he asked me what I wanted him to do with my ashes. I told him I didn't know and that it would be up to him. His reply to that was, "All right, lovey, I'll put you in the boot of the car and take you with me wherever I go." Nowhere would you get a more loving husband than that I ask. I feel blessed. I've had a good life. Love, Audrey. And she says, P.S. Thanks, Victor, for reading this out. I'd like to share some words of appreciation from Ron and the family. The family wishes to express their sincere gratitude to Dr. Jolanta Benson, specialist oncologist Karen Briscoe, Coffs Cancer Treatment Room staff, and Coffs Harbour Palliative Care team for their unstinting efforts. To the many who throughout Audrey's journey gave encouragement and support, your thoughts and words gave Audrey so much comfort and strength, it will never be forgotten. To the gathering here today, we thank you for your support. It's so very comforting. And Ron just passed me this morning. Victor, in the appreciation section of the, I don't need to read that, Ron, sorry. The family expressed their gratitude to Victor and his team for the very professional approach to every aspect of Audrey's service. Their presentation of the notices, and in particular, the order of services, was outstanding. The compilation of the poem from the eulogy and Audrey's story by your staff was so poignant. We thank you. Go have a beer, you've earned it. Thanks, Ron. I will do that for Audrey tonight. Family and friends, can I ask you to please stand now as we come to the most difficult part of our service as we say farewell to Audrey. And now tenderly, lovingly and reverently we farewell Audrey Jean McDonald into nature's keeping. Wish Audrey peace and eternity. She's now into the last sleep, free of any pain, concern and care. But her spirit will live on in all of you who loved her and appreciated the part that she played in your life. And to love someone is to risk this pain of parting, and not to love is to never have lived. The pain and the tears and the grief that you have now is the honouring of your love for Audrey. And if you have any regrets today, may they be turned into gratitude for the time that you shared with Audrey. And family and friends, can I ask you to respond with these words in a moment? Audrey, with our love, we let you go. Now, Audrey, into the arms of eternity. Together now, as your family and friends, we respond together. Audrey, with our love, we let you go. And Audrey, into our most precious memories within all of our hearts. Together now, as your family and friends, Audrey, with our love, we let you go. And Audrey, cherished wife, mother and grandmother, sister and friend, and now into your freedom and peace and rest. Together as your family and friends, Audrey, with our love, we let you go. And I'd like to close with this blessing. Family and friends, may you go forward today with a small flickering of light in your soul. May the memories of Audrey begin to bring you comfort. May the words, touch and presence of others bring you peace. And may you be blessed as you come in today and so grateful for a life that's been lived and for Audrey's legacy that she's left behind. May you go in peace today. Would you please be seated? Thank you. In a moment, at the end of the closing song that Audrey chose, Audrey's family will come forward and carry her to the hearse, where they'll spend some private time and say their own farewell to her. They warmly invite you to remain here, and once they are outside, please then head over to just next door, the room next door, for some morning tea and wait for them to return. And the closing song, goodbye.
I wanted you for life, you and me in the wind. I never thought there'd come a time that our story would end. It's hard to understand, but I guess I'll have to try. It's not easy to say goodbye. For all the joy we shared, all that time we had to spend. Now, if I had one wish, I'd want forever back again. To look into your eyes and hold you when you cry. It's not easy to say goodbye. I remember all those great times we had. So many memories, some good, some bad. Yes, and through it all, those memories will last forever. There's peace in where you are, maybe all I need to know. And if I listen to my heart, I'll hear your laughter once more. And so I have to say, I'm just glad you came my way. It's not easy to say goodbye.